because you may not be living with a mental illness diagnosis does not mean that you have good mental health. And some people will even say, if you do have a mental illness, you can have good mental health. And I know that is true because I'm Wendy Watkins, the host of Making Stuff Up with Wendy. And I live with a mental illness and good mental health. If you're looking to improve your mental health, then this is the place that you're going to receive and learn how to use your MSU to live a delicious life. We all make stuff up, so why not make up the good stuff? My guest today is Tracy Blackburn from Ask TracyB. This woman is an expert at demystifying the maze of Medicare choices and teaches you how to avoid the top 5 Medicare mistakes that even smart people make. She believes that turning 65 can feel overwhelming, and that's why she and her team support our elders, which I know I will be soon, in the process of plan selection while saving money at no cost to her clients. She's an amazing woman business owner that gives back to her community and loves to have fun. And Tracy makes stuff up. So welcome, Tracy Blackburn.
Thank you.
Yay, I'm so glad you're here.
Me too. So I make stuff up. Yes, I do.
Yes, we all make stuff up. So because you do make stuff up and now you can put that MSU behind your name, I'm happy to give you and everybody that is watching and listening today their MSU. So I have for you, my dear, your Making Stuff Up certification. So now you can put an MSU beside your name. Right? We all like those letters because you make stuff up. So here you are, my dear. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
You're so welcome.
Oh, you're right. Okay, shall I frame this?
You could frame it, you could post it, you could do whatever you want with it, my dear, whatever you want. So
okay.
I wanted to start by giving you that. And second, before we roll into the conversation, I just wanted to remind our guests that today's show is not a replacement for any type of mental health or medical treatment. It is purely edutainment about ways to increase your mental health. And if you're having a mental health crisis, please call your local AFSP. All the numbers are in the comments. And we're here to have real conversation about how we can use our MSU to make up the good stuff. So, my dear Tracy, when you hear, like we've talked about this before, but I'm curious to hear how you actually define this concept of making stuff up.
Think I'd be a spoiler alert and tell you what the ending is? I would say you actually project what you want in your future by thinking it, by saying it, by writing it down, and for waiting for the day that you can say, I did it, or I got there, or it happened. So originally, I would have said to myself that I'm lying to people. When I would answer positively when my life was in a hot mess meltdown stage. And I'd walk away from the conversation thinking, that was a really nice person. Why did I just lie to them? And I'd take a few more steps and dial it back and say, I didn't make that up. I am going to be fabulous, better, over this, out of this thing that I'm going through, or successful. I didn't go so far into the I'm being successful as I probably should have, because self-talk matters. But making stuff up, I decided for me was to be Mary Poppins and to make a bright and shiny picture on the spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down.
I love that. I love that. A spoonful of sugar, all of those things that you just said. And the biggest one, though, that really resonated with me that I wrote down was that self-talk matters. How we talk to ourselves. And we do talk to ourselves. I mean, we have a lot of thoughts. I don't know, that number is a high number of thoughts that we have per day. And that self-talk is all about making stuff up, right?
Yeah, we women, sorry, I love men. I'm married to a great guy. I don't mean to sound like it's a guy-gal thing, but I think women do it more. We multitask in our head. We may not be good at it. Men are better focused at, doing such chore or doing a thing. we do a couple things in our head, which means we talk about more than a couple things, and a couple things hang and pop in our radar. So I think we do it differently.
Yes. Yeah, that could be true, right? Some women definitely can multitask better. Some men could maybe multitask better, but we all talk to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a part of the making stuff up, right? So, I love that you brought that but how, like, you didn't just start always by being able to coat it with a spoon of sugar, right? Or did you? Have you always been someone that has that positive outlook?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking of a specific time in my life, but I'm going to dial back to the even younger. I didn't have a perfect childhood, although to everyone else it looked perfect, and no one would have felt sorry for me. I don't feel sorry for me. But I didn't have the joyful household life. And when I walked out the door, I wanted it, so I pretended that I had it. And I learned early on that pretending worked. Now, it didn't work when I came back in the door, and it didn't fix that environment. And I certainly didn't do anything as a kid to gain skills to change that. But my adaptation and probably protection was to be happy.
Yeah.
So what I did was I grew up that way and used my personal fix-it style of happiness and put a smile on things as life went on. And usually things work out really well when you're smiling. It's amazing how a smile, and I'm blessed. When someone asked me once, do you ever look at yourself and go, what 3 things do I like about me? And I had somebody ask me that recently. And I started right out and I went, yeah, my smile. I thought, why is that such an easy answer? But it's a gateway drug to happiness. So it works.
I love that. A smile is a gateway drug to happiness. Can I quote you on that?
You got it.
But it's so true, because in this concept of making stuff up, there's a physiological piece, and your body responds to the smile. And it makes a big difference in how we then project ourselves to others and ourselves.
Yeah, I quote movie lines a lot. I just love certain movies that I watch on repeat. And one of them is Legally Blonde, where Reese Witherspoon is at a board table trying to help this woman get out of a murder charge. And she says, no, she exercises. She taught me all the benefits of, I guess it was like a high kick exercise aerobic activity. And she said, endorphins make you happy, and happy people don't kill people. Happy people don't really yell at other people. Yeah, full disclosure, I have done that. Hopefully less often than more often. But happy people don't do mean things. You just go into it with a happy attitude. Yeah. Doesn't make you perfect, doesn't make it fabulous. It just makes it more livable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and part of our foundational beliefs here at Making Stuff Up with Wendy is when you feel good, you can do good. Right. And that's what we know that when we're having a good day, you're able to, let people merge in traffic. When you're not having a good day, you're not letting anybody in. And one of the things that impact our days is what we make up. Right. And life happens all the time. Right. That's one thing we can be sure, that life is going to happen, that we're going to be thrown a curveball. And the key is being able to use our MSU to recover faster. So I'm curious, Tracy, how have you used your MSU to benefit your best life? Because I know you're living a good life.
I am. And those people that say, I just don't know how that person got so lucky. I had the accident of birth to be born into a family of a very hardworking Italian immigrant mother and a lawyer dad who both came from nothing. And by the time I showed up, life was going well. So I was raised in affluence. And I was we were everybody's first grandchild, first child, first everything. And I lived to meet their expectations. And I got a lot. I mean, didn't wear the same outfit in high school from the first day of the month to the end of the month wardrobe. And I drove the nice car, and I lived in the house on the hill, and I did all the things people who have affluence do. So to me, that was normal. And I married that. even to a greater degree. And I learned nothing along the way about the real world. Now, sometimes God has a way of smacking you upside the head and waking you up. And at 53, my then very schizophrenic, manic, on the bipolar spectrum, manic husband left me and his two sons, our sons. And I found out I was broke. There was no money anywhere. If you could draw money out of a life insurance policy, he'd already done it. The bank accounts were empty and the house payments were going without being paid. And I hadn't worked. I remember I was raised the little fabulous lifestyle girl. I had jobs in my life. And yeah, I did have careers, but not the kind that had to really support a real lifestyle. Mm-hmm. And for a long time, I didn't work. Mm-hmm. So I woke up to this reality that was probably gave me a lot of warning signs, but I was broke. And when you've got two cars, 8,500 square feet of house, two houses, 8,500 square feet, and 7 cars and 3 boats, and your lifestyle's been flying first class on probably an open ticket anytime I got on an airplane anywhere in the world, to know I have no money and not enough to pay gas and electric bill, life changed quickly. And you would think I freaked out, or I got frozen, or I cried. I don't think I cried a tear for 2 years, but it was because I thought these kids can't be raised feeling afraid or feeling that this instability was going to be life-shattering. And at 53 years old, I grew up and I had to put on my big girl pants. And when I did, that's when I started lying to people, making stuff up.
Making stuff up.
How are you, Tracy? I'm great. I'm fine. I was going home every day and selling designer handbags, Coach limited edition bags, for example, on eBay, and making ends meet by selling my husband's Ferragamo shoes that most of them hadn't even worn. Wow. I went through the house and sold everything that wasn't nailed down. And I sold the cars. The 7 cars became 2 cars, and they were all gone. I refinanced. I went and leased one and got a $10,000 car for the one driving son at the time. And we went and rented a house, and we rented out the ones we owned to make the house payments to wonderful strangers who paid ridiculous amounts of money for these on the water oceanfront houses. I just downsized right away. And I told everybody I was fine every day.
What were you telling yourself?
What the heck are you doing? How are you going to make it? You're not going to make it.
So you had this, it was a little schizophrenia in your own. You were out there projecting, right? Lying to people. And then, but your internal, you were in survival mode and you were just making it happen. Like you had to take care of those boys and figure this out. And you did. Yeah. You did.
And I took jobs that were anything to pay enough, only to find out that I felt like a 20-year-old. A 20-year-old navigates life by doing a gig economy. They work for a year and then they work for a year somewhere else and they jump around. Well, that's what I was doing at 53. And the economy was in the tank. So at 2011, people weren't looking for a 53-year-old stay-at-home wife to work for them. So my skills had to be tweaked. Anyway, I did, but every morning when the sun came up, I had a better attitude. My scary times were at night.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is, I think, true for a lot of people, right? That's when things start to quiet down and we have the opportunity to make stuff up. Right. So, but you had the tools because, and this is true, this is normal life, right? For a lot of people that are listening, and thank you all that are listening and watching us today on Making Stuff Up with Wendy. If you're enjoying this conversation, please subscribe right at the bottom here. And so you can see every show that drops every Saturday and learn from more fabulous people like Miss Tracy Blackburn. But you had the wherewithal to know that the lie was going to move you forward. And I say the lie, right? But it is that we make stuff up. But every day you would come home and then go for the negative and then start again the next day. right? So there had to be something in there. What was it that really kept you afloat during all of that, especially when you would come home to the negative MSU?
I'm a huge believer that God loves us and that this universe isn't an accident, and that I have a very strong faith. And I felt that it wasn't going to be that bad because I wasn't doing this alone. So I had a very strong prayer life and confidence level that God wasn't doing something bad. Yes. That I had to, and I found out real quickly a long time ago that when I was in a small group with women who I couldn't wait to be partaking and sharing studies with, that I kept getting paired with one of the women who drove me up the wall. I kept thinking, somebody who's in charge that decides these groups keeps putting that woman with me. They don't like me. Because everybody knows she's a problem and everybody knows no one wants to be with her. So they clearly don't like me. That's MSU. I made stuff up. They don't like me. That's why they're sticking me with, and this gal's first name was Christina. We'd have no contact anymore in any plane of any level. So I went and had a counseling session. And what I learned is, first of all, you can't assume what someone else is thinking. And there's a reason why they keep getting back in your life, because I'm supposed to learn something. If I don't make it very personal and find out what I'm supposed to learn from this, I'm never going to get out of it. I'm going to be in a cycle. So when something bad happens, I didn't think, poor me. I thought, what am I supposed to learn from this?
Oh, so good.
And you know what else is? When you make stuff up, it's never right. Here, what am I doing right now?
You're looking at your watch. Maybe are you looking at your watch? That's what I made up. You were.
Yeah. Most people see someone look at a watch and they think, I don't have time for this. How soon can I get out of it? Or what time is it, Wendy? I need to get rolling. I just got this really cool band on my Apple Watch with a fake diamond bezel around the frame. And I love my watch. I'm just thinking how pretty it is. Would anyone have guessed that?
Right. Right.
I slept for 28 years in a marriage bed with a man who was manic, bipolar, and schizophrenic, and probably all three of those things all the time. And I couldn't read his mind. And my head was in a pillow next to his. Why in the world do I think I could read your mind?
Right.
Why do we make stuff up?
Right. Right. And if we are going to make stuff up, because we just do, why not make up the good stuff? Why not make up thinking that, oh my gosh, Tracy is thinking, I hope I have way more time to give to Wendy because this conversation is just amazing. You know, I think about, I have my dog Eli, and I have mommy guilt because I don't walk him as much as I think he wants to. And then I thought, and I'll even apologize to him while I'm walking. Sorry, Eli. Sorry, it's a short walk today, dude. It's a short walk. How do I know that he's not thinking, I hope we're going on a short walk today. I just want to go on a short walk today. You know, how do I know? And so I lay all this guilt on myself. It's absurd. It's absurd. So, you know, the key to all of this, what you're saying about how we worry about what other people think or thinking that, is that when we can learn to recover faster, right? When we can realize that we're making stuff up that's not working for us. Look, when you're making stuff up that works for you, that has you feeling good so you can move forward and do the things you want to do, keep doing that. But when you notice that you're making stuff up that you don't really know and it doesn't make you feel good, that's when you have to do that, like stop, drop, and roll. Wait a minute, I'm not feeling good. Let me see if I could change this thought pattern, because that could be one of the ways that shifts your feelings and allows you to move forward and do some of the things that you want to do. So it's so key to pay attention to how you feel, right? That's going to tell you what you're making up.
Well, and you know what else? Lower your expectations. Sounds horrible. Here I am, Mary Poppins positive. But I go into everything thinking, I'm just going to show up and do my best. I may not meet a new client. I may not make a sale, depending on what the past was. I sold things. I don't now. I may not make a new friend, but I'm going to show up and expect this level. And here's what happens when you expect this, it's always this or this. It's never as bad as my worst expectations. So I don't lie to myself. And I also don't think abstractly. I don't say, well, I'm going to be better in a year. I'll be better in 6 months. All I have to do is change my positive thinking and everything's going to be great. I learned you can get on a bike and ride as fast as you can toward the sunset and actually find that you're riding east, not west. So positivity and energy don't equal results, and they certainly don't happen on the timeline you want. But so lower the expectations, but stay positive and just know that, and get advice. Warm up to people you may or say, why are you always smiling, Wendy? You are. I didn't know you were delicious life, joyful Wendy when I first met you, but I knew you were super attractive, and it's that positive personality. So each time something happens, my plans and my goals are more realistic. They aren't going to happen tomorrow, and it's not going to be poof. It's better.
Yeah, I agree. And I do believe that from my experience and your experience, we've lived a good amount of time on this world thus far, and that this comes from experience, right? This knowing comes from experience. So I'm going to throw an MSU challenge your way, Tracy. I would like you to pretend that you're talking to your 18-year-old self and telling them about how to use their MSU to create their delicious life. What would you tell them?
You're better than you think you are. You're more powerful than you realize. And thank God you're a woman, because who you're born and who you maybe even gender identify with, who is that source of who you are, because engage it. You've got power. I think that I'd also say, don't trade on cute, get smart. Because I spent a lot of time trading on pretty and cute when I was young. Get smart.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a very good one.
Because, there's a lot of beautiful women in our lives. I was just watching an interview this morning that Joni Mitchell is getting Kennedy Center honored.
Yes.
And I love Joni Mitchell. And those old pictures, of course, we all had perfect skin at some time, and we all had bikini bodies. Well, she has none of that anymore. And she looks like she might be in her late 70s, early 80s. And long, very gray hair. And she just survived a stroke. So she's overcoming obstacles and learning how to walk again. And she's aged. But to me, she's still that 20-year-old Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
So you got to remember that the 20s and 30s are fleeting. But what's in here and what's here matter. So cute and in a bikini doesn't really engender long-term connections. It's 15-minute connections and short-term things. I think brains is when I realized how to do amortization tables on an HP 38 calculator as a mortgage lender, that I watched people's eyes open up like, oh, she's not just cute. She knows how to do that.
She's beauty and brains. I love that.
That's more of a turn on. It's much more exciting to see people realize you're smart than see you as cute.
Yeah.
I love young women to know that.
Yeah.
And my young 18-year-old self.
Yeah. Absolutely. And smart looks different for everyone, right? And you're smart. What each of you that Tracy is speaking to is bringing to the world is your brand of smart, right? So looking at how you could use that to create that delicious life.
Does smart Alec count?
Smart Alec definitely counts in this day and age. You got to be a smarty pants, smart Alec. And you got to be smart at deciphering when you're making stuff up, what's the good stuff and what's not, right? And that's really going to take you a long way. Being able to be conscious of the fact that life is going to happen And each of us have a choice of how we're going to react to it. We have that moment to make it up in that moment, how we want to react. Thoughts are never dropped into our heads. We make them up in that moment. So I challenge each of you to look at what you may want to tell your 18-year-old self and maybe how you'll take that to heart so that you can make up more good stuff so you feel good and can do the good that you want to make in the world.
Yeah. And I think it fits with people who heard me talk about God and faith that don't have that. I think there's room in faith to be future forward projecting, talk about energy and the universe, because what you do matters and it comes back to you. And what you say matters. It'll come back. Is it going to work in our timing or quickly or perfectly? Never. But doing the opposite will always work badly.
Yes, always. That's guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. Wow, Trace, you're so smart. I love having conversations with you, and beautiful and good at making stuff up.
Yes, I make up that I don't have gray hair. Do you like that?
Yeah, you're doing a good job. I believe you.
Because I know I'm older than you are. How would I get away without having gray hair?
But you're choosing not to. And that's the cool thing, that we all get to choose what we want. So thank you again for your time, my friend. Any other closing remarks before we wrap up today's episode?
Yeah. I think when you believe in yourself, that's the key. And a little bit of positive every day works. And even if you can't wrap your mind around that, or it's not your style to be Tracys, the Mary Poppins girl with the big smile, open a door for somebody, carry groceries for an old lady, let someone in traffic, wave at people when they're walking on the sidewalk. When you do behaviors, they help too. They feed your battery and energize your soul. I think it's pick your place and do something. Just do it, like Nike says.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it. And just make up the good stuff, right? Because you're making stuff up. So why not make up the good stuff?
Amen.
Thank you, Tracy. And thank you to all of you that have tapped in and tuned in to Making Stuff Up with Wendy today. Join us again next week for another episode where we learn how to support our mental health so we can feel good and do good in the world and live a delicious life. We'll see you again next time. Remember to subscribe down below and share these episodes with your friends. Here's to your delicious life. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Wendy.
Yeah.